Good morning, all the students of 6th standard. We are learning the second lesson of history. In that, material sources we have completed. The next one, that is oral sources. In the oral sources, what is that? Folk songs are there, folk literature, folk tales are there, stories are there. So these stories or the folk songs were passed by generations, by mouth to mouth or word to word. To this we can, to such records we can call as the oral sources, or along with that the sources which are not in a written format, to that sources we can call as the oral sources. So this literature is not in the written format. That basically, if we say that oral sources, what is the literature is there, that literature is not in a written format, its authors also unknown. That this type of literature preserved by the oral tradition, author also unknown, we don't know who wrote that. So this literature was written by unknown person or the writer, and this kept or preserved by the tradition in the traditional form or oral tradition. They preserve in the oral tradition. That along with that they passed to the generation by orally or word to word. So such a type of tradition is also called as a oral sources of history, or oral tradition is called as a oral sources of history. Here number of the OEs are there, examples or the songs are there. Next one, that is sources of ancient Indian history. In that three forms are there, or the three types are there: written sources, material sources, and the oral sources. So first, what is that? Material source. In the material source, artifacts and structural remains is there. In the artifacts, what is that? Rock paintings, pottery, terracotta objects, beds, ornaments, sculpture, metal objects, coins, and weapons. These are the in the category or in the field of artifacts. In the structure remains, caves, house. Structure means something we can see the shape, size is there. Caves, house, stupas, rock cut caves, temple, church, mosque, or the pillar, they have their own specific size or shape, so that we can call as a structural remains. So they artifacts and structural remains are included into the material sources. Next one point, that is written sources, sources which are in the written format. Inscriptions of Harappan seal, Vedic literature, Mesopotamian clay tablets, that manuscripts, copies of Ramayanas and the Mahabharatas, Jain and Buddhist literature is there. Writing of the Greek historian, travelogies, or the book written by the travelers or historians. Along with that, travelogies by the Chinese traveler, or books on grammar, or the Puranas and inscriptions. So these categories or these different types are included in the written sources. And the last one, that is oral sources. Just we have heard about it. Vedic literature is there, or the Buddhist or Jain literature is there. Ancient Indian preserved by orally, Buddhist or the Jain literature. This literature was preserved by orally only. It is now available in the written form, but in present time this literature, Buddhist literature or the Jain literature, was available in the written form. Even so, the oral tradition is still alive. That even then also in present time this oral tradition is still it is alive. That when oral compositions are used for history writing, they are included in the oral sources. If anyone oral composition, if they use for writing history, so that oral compositions they include into the oral sources of history. So in this way, oral source, this sources, this is important one point there. In the after that, we heard or we have studied that the sources of ancient Indian history, there's in that three types are there: material, written, or oral sources. In the material, two types are there again: artifacts and structural remains. So today in your homework you have to draw this diagram, sources of ancient Indian history and all their types there. This you complete. Tomorrow we'll see the remaining point.